and let some people come on. And today we have a very special guest here. His name is Matt Plapp. This is one of the guys that I've known for a couple years, and I've seen his agency kind of like completely blossom. And this dude's just a massive action taker. This guy learns and relentlessly figures something out, how to automate it, how to systematize it, and how to scale it. And he runs a very successful restaurant marketing agency. And now he's become the professor and teaches many other agencies and also teaches at colleges. And he's also hosting an event today in his hometown in Kentucky. So I appreciate you spending the time with us, given you have such an incredibly busy schedule. And I've literally seen you live, like you're live. I mean, you're like reality TV, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, brother. Yeah, it's my kids jokingly said I should just hire a crew and have them follow me around so I could just keep talking about stuff about marketing.
You should. You really should. You're like if you have somebody following you, you'll have that Gary V content engine going soon.
Yeah, this is my what is this? My fourth today. I had a seminar this morning for a Chamber of Commerce. I left there and went and taught a class at a university. I left there, went to lunch, came here, did a live with my dad. And now I'm on with my buddy from the West Coast.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. So anybody that comes on, just say hi. If you hear something you like, drop some comments so we know exactly where it is, so we can always come up with other lives off of what you like the best. So that would give us some great feedback and also be able to do consistent lives even better for the future. So anybody that comes on here, just drop that comment and give some love for Matt here. And what I want to talk about, I want to kind of get into some like granular details once we get this overview, but give a little background about what you do in the ROI Engine.
Yeah, so ROI Engine is a program I had started working on back in 2015 with my restaurant clients. I had at the time, I guess we had 8 or 9 restaurant locations, and we were having experience and success with using social media. And I was trying to tweak it and get it to where it was like next level, that I could really show what the program was doing. And I had no intentions of it being anything different than something for my clients. And so it ended up going to where now all of a sudden, hey, I've got a restaurant focused agency 3 years later. But the program literally started off as just being a couple of years ago, my program for my restaurant clients. And what I saw were 3 main problems. The number one problem was restaurants were using social media to get attention, which is fine, but there was nothing after that. And I'm a big proponent that every dollar you spend on marketing should help you gather data. And then you use that data to drive those people in. What I mean by that is you run a Facebook ad, somebody engages in it, whether they click or comment or whatever, and you get their name and their email address, or their name and their messenger, their name and their text message, or texting number. And then you can take them the path you want to, versus having to continually acquire them through spending money. And so that's what the ROI Engine is all about, getting big awareness, getting great engagement, growing a database, and then driving sales. And so interesting thing happened. I got it over here somewhere. This time last year, I wrote a book called Don't 86 Your Restaurant Sales. And of course, it's orange, like everything else is orange.
Yeah, I love that. I love the brand.
Even my ski jacket has orange hood trim. But I wrote that book, and the reason I wrote the book was I had a message I wanted to get out. I really had something that was unique that I knew could help me get more people familiar with my brand and what we did for restaurants. I never envisioned what it would do on the agency side. I remember late March, I did a webinar talking about the book and the membership site that was behind it for restaurants, not agencies, for restaurants. And next thing I know, I have 54 agencies that bought a program. And wow. I remember calling a guy that both of us know, Billy Jean. I called him the next day. I said, dude, I got a problem. He's like, what? I go, well, I got 54 agencies. Of the 56 that bought in right away are agencies. They're not restaurants. And he's like, well, dude, you've been doing it for 10 years. You've got the knowledge to do the agency game. So just do what you've always done. And so I did that. And so here we are today. I've got somewhere around 200 agencies in the program. And they all basically – everything that I do for restaurant clients, like we just made a tweak 2 days ago on our program that we run for our clients. We hop in the membership site, we do a webinar, we make a change in the module, we give it to the agencies, and they run it with their restaurant clients everywhere.
That's amazing. So how many restaurant owners do you serve right now?
Oh, I don't know. Locations, 100 plus for me. I don't know. I don't know, like the program as a whole. We've got,
Right.
I mean, the agencies that are in it, we've got agencies that have 100 plus restaurants. We've got some that have one or two. They're all over the world too. I mean, we've got Els is in Belgium. I've got a member who's on an island off the coast of Madagascar, the
Right.
Canary Islands. Kevin in the Canary Islands is killer. We have I think the numbers like 60% of our agencies are out of the U.S.
Wow. Like what I love about the restaurant marketing game is that it transfers over inherently to every other game too, like any other industry, just because it's such a scrappy industry. You know what I mean? Like I've worked with restaurants locally in the past. I don't work with them currently, but it is like, it's amazing just kind of having, like, that's why I follow your group so closely. I listen very carefully and I hop on your Friday night lights from time to time, just because I always learn something new that helps me think outside the box in other areas and industries I work in. So it's been super helpful for me. But like you've been able to scale this business and you have like two things going on. You have like, or three things. You're building that brand with all your lives and teaching. You got your ROI engine, and then you have your direct clients. So obviously you have systems and processes dialed into a T and a science. And that's what I want to get at is like, how does somebody who owns an agency basically kind of like systematize where they are, so you're not like the number one guy stuck to follow up with the client and delegate and get everybody else to do the work for you and kind of report uphill, so you can measure and know and keep your pulse on your own agency so it doesn't go to shit.
Yeah, and I'll say this with a disclaimer. I think I suck at all of what you said, but I think I suck a lot less than a lot of people. And I'll put it in this perspective. December 8th until last Monday, it was like 38 days. I was gone 31 of the 38. 2 business trips, 3 vacations, one for 9 days in Canada, one for 11 days, Colorado and Hawaii, one for 3 days in Chicago, and then 2 business trips in between there. And my agency ran. My clients did stuff. I had one point, like a 12-day period where I didn't have a phone call or a text from any clients. So some of them, they knew I was out of town. They emailed our Ashley on my team or our support email. It got put out. Now we've got, don't get me wrong, we've got our issues. I came back and I actually looked at something 2 days ago that I'm like, how in the hell did this fall through the cracks? But it did. And one of the guys on my staff emailed me yesterday. I was like, dude, I apologize. That's my fault. I screwed up. I'm like, no, you didn't. I did. I'm the one supposed to be leading this ship. I should have had a better system in place. But what's gotten me at least to the point where I'm at now, and I can see the vision for where I'm going, was that 3 years ago, every single thing our agency ran through me. Every client only knew Matt Plapp. Like most of my clients didn't know Ashley, who's worked for me for 8 years, existed. Mm-hmm. They kind of knew she was there, but didn't really know who she was, never met her. And part of the problem I had, and this isn't a bad problem because I had a successful agency and now we're going on our 11th year, but from 2008 to really 2000 and I guess 15, 16, probably 16, the clients bought me. They didn't buy a system. They bought Matt Plapp. And so inherent, there was no upsell. There was no limits. I had one client that literally, when I sat down and looked at it, we were getting paid. You would think on paper we were getting paid a good number to work with them. We were losing about $5,000 a month when we looked at my time. The fact that I had to drive to their locations in different cities. The fact that I was, losing 4 to 5 days a month working with them. And the problem was I was the one that set it up. I sold people Matt Plapp. I had a program called the Mobile Marketing Director. You hire us. We not only take care of your digital, because our specialty has always been Facebook ads, email marketing, social media marketing, and we can help with other things. Well, next thing I know, when you open that up and a business owner says, hey, Matt, we're hiring you, we're paying you, we want you to be our guy. And next thing you know, you've got TV ads running, radio ads running, billboards. You got a sponsor with a pro sports team. You're doing direct mail. You've got HR ads, radio. I mean, it's unbelievable. When I found out that I was not able to pass the majority of that on to my team. So Ashley, who's worked for me now going on her 8th, 9th year, doesn't know how to do all that. And she never could. I would have to have a staff of 20 people that had to do these tasks. So I had to evaluate it. And we took that 34 client list down to about 16 over 2 years. And it sucked because I got rid of some clients, literally probably, $40,000 a month in revenue over the last couple of years that I've gotten rid of. I've replaced it, but it's also, you look at it and you're like, oh man, that's a lot of money. Yeah. But the problem I had back then was we didn't have a program. Now, when a customer comes in, like a guy texted me today, Matt, we need to start next February 1st, we need to start with his 3 restaurants. Great. All I got to literally do is I'll send him a form tonight, pretty much mostly filled out. He'll send it back, and then I'll disperse it to my team. I'll go in Asana. I'll replicate the workflow because we only sell 2 things. We have 2 products our agency delivers now. And so I'll literally go in there. I'll duplicate the Asana workflow. It's already assigned to my team. Ashley does this. Tanya does this. Joey does this. Mark does this. Peter does this. In 2 days, it's up. They know from support to email the customer the information. The customer gets their video and what their program is, a PDF that's up to approve. They reply back with changes like a client did about an hour ago. Ashley got the change, made the change, was live in 5 minutes. Matt Plapp wasn't involved. Matt Plapp got the form, got the agreement, got the form filled out. I'm out of it. They built everything. Well, that wasn't possible 3-4 years ago because there was no system. It was, we want to do a YouTube ad today. We want to do a Facebook ad. We want to do a video. We want to be on the radio. We want to be on TV. I could never have a staff big enough to fulfill that. So it took really scaling down and saying, hey, you can't buy Matt Plapp anymore. You've got to buy a system. You're buying this. This is what we have. This is what it does. This is why it works for your business. Or honestly, this is why it doesn't work. I turned a guy down the other day. Not a good fit.
Right.
And so that helped me scale because I can literally assign things to people on my team that they can do 100% because they've been trained and it's a system.
And you can yeah, you're right. Especially training future people, it becomes much more systematic too. So that's the scary part, I think, for most agencies is the ability to say no, but also everybody says yes because they don't have the system. You know what I mean? Because you mentioned YouTube, Instagram, email, copywriting, landing pages, all this shit just gets bundled in. And so to basically say, hey, I'm the sales guy or owner, you bought me, then to delegate that out is a disaster. Because I've been there, done that many, many times. I mean, we're both pretty much like old school agency owners in the sense that we're both going on over a decade. But I feel you. So you mentioned you have 2 products that you sell. What are those 2?
So the main product we sell is the ROI engine. It's my restaurant program. The other product I sell, which I don't use a whole lot unless it's a very specific high-end client, is called Fill Your Funnel. Mm-hmm. What I've noticed is what I do for Matt Plapp is transferable to a lot of businesses. And what I mean by that is I've got 4 levels with my agency, how I market me. I spend between $4 to $5 grand a month on just my digital stuff. And what I do is I use videos to nurture people. And you've seen this. I mean, there's many ways to do it, but I call it fill your sales funnel, because I think most businesses do a bad job of cultivating an audience. And so only reason I offer this product is because I know how to do it for me. And if the company commits to supplying live video content on a consistent basis in the manner that I tell them what to do, then we can help run that program. And it's literally a concept that's 4 steps. How do we get awareness? So they've got to produce a certain amount of content. My nose is itching. I'm not a Coke addict, I promise. But they've got to be able to create content that's going to educate, inform, and get awareness and not sell. Mm-hmm. Next levels, they've got to be able to create content that goes a little deeper in that education. And then the next level after that is they've got to be able to create call to action and then go from there. So what we do is we help funnel those people down. And so if they're able to do that, and it's usually about 15 to 20 videos, and then on an ongoing basis, 4 to 5 a month, if they're able to do that, then we'll help put the ads behind it and run those people through it. So by the time people get 2-3 months down that funnel and they're in the need for that program, that product that company's selling, then they'll do it. And we just had a client we lost last week that was on this program. It was on the program for 6 months. It was working great. The problem was they didn't listen. Early on, I told them, this is what it does. You have to supply this. We don't do this. We do this. You have to do this. Well, they didn't do it. And so we ended up stepping in and helping them. But then the negative of it was none of the people that were the decision makers of this company are even on Facebook or Instagram. And so while they see magazine articles and hear speakers at conferences, which is what happens, they'll go to a conference, they'll hear the guy on stage say how important Facebook is. They come back, they find the person they know, which is me, and they hire us. And then 6 months later, they go, oh, man, we've spent $20,000. How do we know this worked? Well, it's like, you've got to work it. You've got a product like this particular client. They've got a product that the annual value is like $18,000. We had 3 people sign up the first 2 months. Okay, so you just paid us a couple grand and made 40 or 50, but they weren't focused. They didn't know, they don't use social media. And so it's like almost equivalent to selling a guy who doesn't own a car, a Bentley. He might be able to afford a Bentley, but if he doesn't own a car, he doesn't comprehend even buying a car. He's not going to buy a Bentley. And that's what happened with these people. None of these, and that was my own fault, because one of my rules is I don't deal with decision makers that run companies that do not use what they're buying from me, because if they don't use it, they're not going to comprehend the value that we bring, because we come at a high level, and it's just another thing on their profit and loss sheet they cut when they get tight with cash.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, it is definitely hard when somebody's unwilling to do content themselves, because I think like you and I were sitting next to each other at Billy's house, or maybe in the conference, you're like, you need to get on video. And I remember I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. Then it took me like 6 months or a year later, I started doing video. Then I'm like, fuck, this is kind of uncomfortable. But then you get comfortable, then more comfortable, then more comfortable. And then it just becomes like completely second nature, where it's like, hey, turn that thing on. I want to be all about me. And that's really what it is. Like you mentioned attention earlier. I mean, everyone wants attention, and that's how you're going to win the branding race. And once people know, like, and trust you, that's when you can start to sell to them easier, because they know what you're about. They like your content, and they want you to run their marketing. And you've done a marvelous job of that. But I love, like, I want to dive into like how you're able to board clients so fucking quickly. Like you mentioned Asana, and it just automates and delegates tasks to the person. And then you mentioned Ashley can run a campaign in 5 minutes. So in your ROI engine program for your clients, do you have different levels that you offer them?
Yes and no. Not everybody comes in at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And different levels come after the fact once we've proven and gotten that. I don't like to get somebody on board that would come on board and have our ROI engine program, the birthday module, the tourism module, the Wi-Fi module, the internal business card. We've got so many things we can offer with it. And sometimes I get clients that get excited. They want to do all this stuff. I'm like, no, let's do this. Let us put it in place, do this. But I mean, the way we're able to do it quickly is that it's systematized. Every client buys the same thing. I had a client recently say, hey, what do you think about this? I said, let me ask you this. And I'm pretty blunt with people, and they appreciate that. I said, you're hiring us because of the results you saw that restaurant got, right? Yes. Then let me do my job and build you what we built for them. Let's not stray. Let's not go down this rabbit hole, because the minute we go down this rabbit hole, my system's not built for that. My system does A, B, and C. I don't do F. If you want F, I can refer you to somebody. And so that's one thing. And that's one thing I didn't do a couple years ago. When somebody would be like, hey, Matt, can you do this? I'd go, yeah, of course. And I'd go back and I'd be like, Ashley, we got to figure this out. And we would figure it out, because I'm a million times more capable than the average business owner with regards to marketing, especially automation and digital marketing. But the way we're able to do it is that we've got a system, and it's in place. And it's, this is what we build in ManyChat. This is what we build in Zapier. This is what we build in Drip. This is what we build in Facebook. And this is how it ties together. And we've got it systematized to where certain people have certain jobs. And when a button is hit in Asana and it already replicates it, it notifies Ashley, hey, new client, Raoul's Pizza. Boom, clicks Raoul's Pizza. There's the onboarding form. There's the things I've already done. I put the credit card in. They've already paid their bill. They've been invoiced. Their contract signed. Here's our onboarding. Here's a link to all their videos and pictures that we're going to need. We have Facebook access. There's some things I do myself, which I do when I'm on the phone with the client, to go ahead and get it rolling. Because what I don't like to do, and I had this happen the other day, a guy was telling me, he's like, man, I got a client agreed to me on the phone, and now it's been 2 weeks getting it going. I'm like, these guys are busy. And it's not because they don't want to do it. It's because you're in a restaurant, you hang up the phone, your Coke machine blows up. You're like, oh, crap. And then you get done fixing that, and Jenny, the bartender, calls in sick because her kid's homesick, and she can't make it because her baby daddy got arrested last week. And so now you're bartending. And so all of a sudden, what turns into you wanting to do something, now all of a sudden you're doing the opposite. And I know it, because when we had our boat dealership, for 10 years we owned a boat dealership. There was not a day I walked in that I got to actually do my job. I'll never forget. Like one day, the one day it blows my mind the most, I walk in one day and I hear this boom, giant implosion. The hell happened? I look out, one of our lot techs had backed an $80,000 Airstream camper through our showroom windows.
Oh, no.
So guess what I spent that day doing? Getting that cleaned up, getting people. And one of the things was I didn't have a system to do that, but back then I didn't have it. Well, that's what these restaurant owners have. They're in the trenches. And so that's one way I'm able to onboard a lot of times. When I get a client and I'm on the phone with them or I'm in front of them, it's, hey, we're done. I'll email you the agreement, sign it, but I need your credit card right now. I need access to your page. Let's go ahead and share screen. Let's get it done. Because if I don't do that then, they get distracted. It goes haywire. I do it then, and my clients love it because I do it then. We get it in our system. 2 to 3 days later, they get an email from support with all the elements. They typically reply back that night. A couple little edits. Ashley gets the reply. She's the one that fixes the edits typically. She hits it. Matt, it's good to go. I said, cool, turn it on. She turned it on. And so now from that point forward, it's okay. Now it goes to Mark, me and Mark monitoring it. Mark saying, hey, here's where the program's going. Me looking at the dashboard, monitoring the results. And then we've got other people like Tanya we have 3 VAs, and then Tanya, my full-time assistant, she manages, I guess, 3-4 VAs that help with the organic aspect of our program. And so it's just a matter of doing that. And it's been amazing because every client that I brought on, I remember one client, I brought on 3 companies, one January, like 5-6 years ago. And I remember thinking to myself in February, I'll never do that to myself again because it was Matt. There was no Ashley on board. It was me doing so much work, and then she helped pick up my pieces. Now it's like I could onboard 3 every day and it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right. So when you're writing the ad copy for these clients, are you actually getting their approval, or are you launching it based off your internal gut feeling of how this campaign will work? So like when you get the credit card and everything, so are you telling them saying, hey, we're going to run the birthday campaign. Here's what it's going to be. And then you just tell them, they say, go ahead.
To some extent, what we send them, they get an email from our support email that says, hey, Raul, below is a link to a Loom video that talks about how your employees need to be onboarded. Below is also a link. We have a client help page that has all these videos. And then attached is the PDF workflow of the mini chat sequence, the Zappy or the email sequence that goes out, and then screen records. So she actually records herself. That's one thing she does I like. She records her phone. Simple. She literally goes through the flow. Here's the ad, click, boom, 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 goes through it. And we tell them for the most part, the ads are going to change. Make sure we have the pictures you like. And one thing we're fortunate too is a lot of our clients we're adding more and more now are current franchises of brands we already work with.
Right.
They see that this location of this pizza restaurant is doing this, and they hire us. They're just saying, Matt, turn it on. Do what you did for them. And so that's we've been able to grow that way too. But yeah, we typically have the pictures they like, and we'll take those and say, hey, the ad's going to say this probably. But if we don't like it within a week or two, we'll change it to this, this, or this. And we just go on our way. We don't typically get a whole lot approved there.
Got it. So that's pretty cool. So you just kind of run the systems for the client. They've already kind of pre-approved and said, Matt, just do your thing, get us leads. We'll take care of the rest, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's great. No, I mean,
think about it. When you go to a doctor and you hurt your knee, do you tell the doctor, nah, I'm not going to do that rehab. I'm going to do this. And so that's what we've got to look at this way is that, yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I'm the doctor of marketing. I mean, I know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to running Facebook ads for restaurants to put them in the Facebook Messenger to get them to walk in your restaurant and sit down and spend money. So listen to me. And that's why, and I'm pretty blunt with that. And, you know, it's kind of funny. I bring that example up. I have a medical client, a doctor I met with last Thursday. He had that exact same thing happen. I walk in and he's like, looks at me. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm off my balance today. I said, what's going on, man? He goes, well, see that guy you passed walking? I go, yeah. He goes, that dude just tried to told me I was arrogant, number one, which I said, hey, you know what? Confidence is arrogant sometimes. Tried to tell me what his treatment should be for his injured vertebrae. And I said, no, this is what you're going to do. And the guy's like, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, well, then you probably need to find another doctor. And I was like, man, that's the example I always use. And you just had that, jackass.
Right. That's funny. I actually use that as well, and also a lawyer analogy as well. Yeah, no, because people sometimes hire you and then try to tell you what to do. So I find that kind of comical. It's like, hey, you're the expert, but then they take away all of your strengths. That's like giving Michael Jordan the ball. I mean, not giving Michael Jordan the ball when he's the most important player on the fucking court. So now what's your, like, if somebody wanted to work with you, like a restaurant owner, what's the entry price that they'd work with you? How do they get started?
So it depends.
Or is price even something you even want to bring up?
No, price is fine. But we've got packages that start at $250 a month that go up to $2,500 a month. It depends on how many. That's just like a one location. It depends how many locations. Are they franchise? What do they want? Are they doing our organic program? Are they doing a Wi-Fi program? Are they doing an opt-in? I mean, we've got 17 items that we can offer. Now, granted, when I meet with restaurants, and typically I don't have it right. Like I had somebody the other day wonder why they couldn't buy my program online and just sign up. I said, because honestly, I want to talk to you and I want to find out if this is going to work for you or not, if I'm going to work with you. Like I lost a client last year because of this one phrase I told them, which ties in with what I'm talking about now, what you mentioned a minute ago. I told him, I said, dude, I'm not a yes man. I'm not a secretary. You could easily be giving the instructions you're giving me to a secretary and pay them 90% less. So if you want somebody to do what you want to do on social media, go hire a secretary, have her do it for you, because I'm not going to take your orders because I know what the hell I'm doing and you don't. So I lost a client over that, and it was fine because we didn't need to be working together. But that's also one of the reasons that I don't have my system where you can buy online, because I want to have that conversation and say, hey, are you a good fit? You know, I had a pizza restaurant we picked up in Minneapolis last year, 2 years ago. I've never seen a campaign go so bad in my life. Well, it turns out that it was a very poorly branded, unknown pizza restaurant. So it doesn't matter. You have to walk up to a homeless guy and say, do you want a free pizza? And then you go, oh, what's the name of the place? I never heard of it. Never mind. I mean, that's kind of how this went. And so we've got programs that start from $250 and go up, but it also depends if it's a good fit. Our average client is probably, if I had to guess, $500 to $650 a month plus ad spend to run some of our programs. And then, there's, like I said, there's variables. If it's a person that owns 7 restaurants and I only have to have one point of contact for 7 locations, okay, then the price is less because now I don't have to talk to 7 people.
Right.
Plus I have less work because I can duplicate more and I don't have as much work there.
Right. Do you feel like when you're talking to clients that their expectations are super high when they're getting started with you, like let's sprint, let's explode, but they forget about that awareness, engagement, conversion funnel, because you have to cast that wide net to get people to know, like, and trust you. So how do you like set that expectation that, hey, when we start, there's a process to this and we're not going to get like what is your expectation? What does your month 1 scenario look like from an average client?
That's the tough part. That's where we struggle the most, is that, and that's one of the questions, like my restaurant conference this weekend we're having here in Cincinnati, that I can't wait to ask a few of the decision makers. There's 5 people coming that are decision makers in the restaurant business, that aren't marketers, that are restaurant people. And one of the things I struggle with is my vision of what they take, of what is valuable in their visions. Like we have a dashboard that breaks down 3 metrics. Number 1, ad exposure. What exposure has our program gotten your restaurant through the ads? Number 2, and that's reach, engagement, shares, all that kind of stuff. Number 2, what database have we grown from that exposure? And number 3, what sales have we gotten from the database? Well, the most restaurants, and this is what kills me the most about it, most restaurant owners only want to look at the sales. And it's comical because I'm like, let me ask you a question. You're buying radio advertising. You have jack shit idea of what anything happened. A radio commercial was up here, bloop, it's in the air, and I sold radio. Number one thing I hated asking clients is, did it work? Because I didn't know they didn't know. So they bought a commercial. They spent $3,000, and they're comfortable spending that for an entire year without knowing anything. Matt Plapp comes along, sells them a couple $100 program, 500, let's say 1,000. And for that $1,000, I can not only show them definitively the stats on their ads, I can show them the database they grew from those ads, and I can show them where 85 people walked in and spent $3,500, $3,510.73. They want to focus on the bottom. So a lot of that comes with setting it up. And so what I try and do, what I do with my clients is I walk them through that. And they have to agree that we're in the same place. Do you agree that there's value in this column of this, and there's value in the database, and there's value, and we're measuring by all 3. If they agree, then we move on. And then at that point, I let them know our averages, our goal the next 12 months, like for a particular client, let's say one of my pizza chains, is to average 500 opt-ins a month. I had one client that got 1,000 opt-ins in 24 hours.
That's insane. What was the offer? I got to know the offer.
It was a buy one, get one free pizza.
Okay.
But the advantage I had on that program, that restaurant's like 5 miles from my house. I know the territory. I know the Facebook groups. I just knew the targeting better than any other client of mine. Literally 1,000 people in like 24 hours. I was at the mini chat conference. Mike Doniker, who's flying in tonight to Cincinnati, was with me. And we're watching it, laying in bed. Sounds weird. He's in his bed. I'm in my bed. We're laying, I got my laptop out. I launched this program. By the way, say hi to Luis.
Hey, what's up, Luis? How you doing?
And I launched this program, and he's like, dude, is this for real? Because it's like 50 opt-ins, 100 opt-ins, 200 opt-ins, 300 opt-ins. And so that client was like blown away. And I told him, I called him and said, dude, it's blowing up. It won't be this way in 3 months. We're trying to average, like in his program, we're actually trying to average 250. His Facebook ad spends 250 a month. We're trying to average 250 opt-ins per month. And we are there. We're like at 2,300 in 4 months. So we're doing fine. And then it's from that point, understanding the expectations down the road. The hardest part to sell, and this just disappoints me and it comes down to who you're talking to also though, is I have a hard time understanding how every business owner doesn't value the fact of growing a database. Like this, for example. So today I'm on your
Carol's here, by the way. What's up, Casey? Sorry. Casey Carroll. He's here.
He's here. What do you mean he's here?
He's right here on live. Casey Carroll's live right now. He knows Matt Plapp. Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to call Casey out, and Cody and Johnny and everybody else here. Well, let me say what's up to everybody. What's up, guys? Casey, Cody, Johnny. I can't see the rest of the names. So drop some comments if you guys have any questions, comments. Matt's here for a little bit longer because he's about to launch like a weekend event for his ROI engine, which is absolutely impressive. I'm sure we'll see a ton of lives on that over the next 3-4 days. But anyway, sorry to continue on about building this database.
Yeah, so I look at it this way. So let's look at Matt Plapp for example today. I went live this morning. I've got 314 views on an organic video I shot that was an hour and like 10 minutes long at a chamber event where I did a seminar. I then was live at NKU twice, 178 views, 114 views. I then went live with my dad. It's at 97 views. That was an hour ago. I'm now live with you. I'm guessing we're probably 100 or 200 views already. So I've got probably by the end of this day on just these live stuff I've done today, 1,000 video views. That is putting my brand in front of people that might not know me or that know me but don't trust me a lot yet or that don't really have a feeling for what I do. I'm not looking for that to generate revenue tomorrow or the next day. I'm looking for to generate revenue in a year because the better I am today, tomorrow, the next day, in a year, it multiplies. So my biggest disappointment with most brands, most restaurants that I deal with, but everyone I talk to, they don't understand that. And I always crack up because they're like, I want to put something in place that sells something tomorrow. And I'm like, well, let me ask you this question. Did you get in a sales problem today because of what happened yesterday or the shit you didn't do the last 24 months? It's the 24 months. You didn't do correctly. It's like people that are like, I own a gym, as you know, and somebody walks in, a buddy of mine walked in the other day who's about 100 pounds overweight. And we were talking about his weight loss journey. I said, dude, I hope you're ready for a 2-year journey. He said, yeah, I am. I said, because you didn't gain this weight in 6 months. You're not going to lose it in 6 months. And so that's what I hammer home with my restaurant clients is, hey, you didn't get here having a database of 50 people and no text, no messenger, 50 email addresses, no video views. That got you in this position. It's going to take me a year to get you out of it. Yes, we're going to have some great moments along the way, but the goal is not next month or the month after that. It's 12 months from now. If I can have you sitting here with 6,000 more eyeballs that you own, that you can reach out to on your dime instead of paying Facebook again or buying them on a radio station, you're going to be in a better position. And that's the hard part a lot of people don't recognize. It's like when I was beating you up at Billy's about video, I was the same way. The seminar that I videotaped this morning, I've done that same seminar 1,000 plus times. I did seminars 1 to 4 times a month from 2008 until 2016. And I'll never forget sitting down with Billy, February of 2016, trafficking conversions, might have been 17, I don't remember. And he's like, I'm telling him my story. We're having a 1-to-1. And I told him about these seminars I had done. He's like, he lights up. Oh my gosh, dude, you've got gold. Where did you put all the videotapes up? Like, where's the videos? I'm like, what do you mean? I've never videoed any of them. And I thought
I actually remember that.
I literally feared for my life. And he was like, he's like, dude, you're like a Gary V. You should have already been doing this. And so now I video everything in my car. Like I've actually hit people like the other day, about 4 or 5 days ago, I was on the way to meet somebody. And this person said, God, you would be so easy to mug and kill. I said, why? Because I've watched you be live 5 different times. I knew exactly where you were. You literally walked in. There's a guy that works for me. He's like, I walked in the meeting for lunch at a Hothead Burritos in Newport, and I had just left NKU, and I did NKU's class live, got in my car, did a live in one of my groups. He saw it, and I walked in, and he's like, I know where you've been all morning, but it's the same thing. You've got to chronicle it. You've got to build an audience. And everything we do today isn't for tomorrow. It's not for next week. It's not for next month. It's for 6 months, a year. So that's why I have to hammer home the restaurants and even agencies that are here this weekend selling the restaurants. You can't sell the sizzle now. You've got to sell the sizzle in a year, because none of them bought that $300,000 sign that's on the top of their building for today. They've invested in it long term. Why can't they view marketing like ours the same way?
Yeah, no, I like when you brought up the radio, billboard, traditional stuff. That's really like probably doesn't work because nobody knows if it works, because there's absolutely no way to track it. While that could be a decent branding play, it's definitely a budget killer. But I agree with you. That's always boggled my mind, that the reason being is these old school business owners love to see the tangible shit, and they don't understand digital, and they don't understand the value of like getting in front of their ideal audience where they spend the most attention, which is really fucking odd that since 2003, when digital really kind of became like starting to gain momentum, because I used to work at Realtor.com back then, it's still very difficult. That knowledge gap is so big still, which is really crazy. But Jonathan has a question here. He's right now in contact with many restaurants in Boston, and he's providing insane value first with an FB Live interview broadcast to his audience of 110,000 Bostonians. What should his next move be to get these restaurants as clients?
So you've got to look at the relationship with restaurants. And it's funny he asked this, because I have an interview with a restaurant tomorrow. And the one thing I'm adamant about, like for me, when I reach out and do interviews with restaurateurs, I do them once or twice a week. This might sound dumb, but there is no second step plan to my mind until after I develop a relationship. Mm-hmm. So it's like meeting my wife. I met Christy, my now wife of 19 years. I met her 23 years ago in college. I was a sophomore. She was a freshman. We were injured athletes laying on a trainer's table. I was getting my neck worked on. She was getting her ribs worked on. She had literally run over a girl in outfield and broke a rib or something. And I didn't look over at her and go, yep, we're going to have babies in 7 years. But that's how we look at our prospects. So I looked at her and said, she's pretty hot. I need to know her. And then I did know her. And then we started dating. Then we got engaged and we got married. Then we had babies. So you need to look at it that way. Reach out to this brand. I don't know that the brand I'm interviewing tomorrow. I know the guy. We've had one meeting. We've traded 4 or 5 texts. I've eaten at his restaurant numerous times. I don't know he's a good client for me. He might be too type A. He might not have the budget. He might not value what I do. So I just go out and look for introductions. I'll interview him, like this guy's talking about in Boston. I interview this guy tomorrow. I'll use that product to market Matt Plapp, to market his restaurant, to grow my awareness. And then I'll use that to start a conversation. And typically we'll start a relationship. And that relationship will go kind of like this, that we'll do the video. I'll market the video. He'll text me in 2 days. Holy crap, the video's at 3,000 views. I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Wait till it says 10. He'll text me in a week. Dude, it's at 20. And I'm like, great. And he'll go,
I think we lost you, Matt. If you are, Matt, can you, I don't know if you can hear me, but your audio is out.
That's weird. You hear me?
Okay, hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to have to give Matt Plapp a call here.
Why can't you hear me?
He's not looking. Hey, you're up.
Yeah. Can't hear me?
Can't hear you.
I didn't change anything.
All right. Well, Matt's talk. I don't know if you guys can hear. Can anybody hear Matt right now? If you guys can comment really quick. I'm just going to reconnect him. It looks like he's about to come back on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Okay, something just happened to the audio. It was weird.
Yeah.
All right, but we're back. Yeah, so keep going. Continue on. We're talking about the 3. We got to 10,000 views.
So the video gets to 10,000 views, and what happens is they typically either appreciate that or they don't. I've got a couple guys, like the one guy the other day was like, this video is like 39,000 views. My interview with Paul Wahlberg out of Wahlburgers is at 90-something thousand views now in the last 2 months. And so that typically starts a relationship. And then at that point, you find out if you're good or not. The problem with most of us selling marketing, we want to sell something tomorrow. We're as bad as our freaking clients.
Right.
We're as bad as the restaurants that want customers tomorrow. Do things today that put you in front of the right people for next year. And so that's what I do. I'm not trying to sell something today, tomorrow, next week, next month, 2 months. Now, I can say that if I was broke as could be and I didn't have any money and didn't have I understand that feeling. I've been there. You've got to hustle and find something. But I always tell people, if you're in hustle mode, that's different than the mode I'm in. And if you're in hustle mode, you need to go out and find some clients that can pay you tomorrow and then do some things on the side to grow it up. But like those restaurant interviews, Just simply create a relationship. Create a relationship, create a friendship, do the interview, update them on the status of the video views over the next month, next 2 months, next 3 months. Stop in the restaurant, have lunch, have breakfast, have dinner, shake his hand, send him an article of interest on LinkedIn that helps his business. The last thing you should do is try and sell something. And then at some point, once you've had, let's say, 8 to 10 touches, if you feel like there's a synergy and if you honestly feel you can help them, reach out and say, hey, you got 5 minutes. I want to show you something and get your opinion to see what you think on an idea I've got. And that's when you sit down, you say, hey, look, I want to show you the ROI engine, something we're doing. I want to get your feedback on it. And typically when you ask that question and say, what do you think? Would this ever be a fit for you? And here's my reasoning. They'll say yay or nay.
Right. Right. So then it's kind of just setting you up to ask you the question to work together. Now, How do you set up your interviews? So like this gentleman here, you've eaten there, you've talked to him, you've exchanged texts. What's the context of the interview? What do you say? Hey, I want to interview you. This is what I'm going to do. Or how do you set that up? Yeah.
So in this case, I sent him a text and said, hey, I'm working on my second book. And this is the truth. I got my book. I'm almost about halfway done with it. But I'm working on my second book and I'm looking to fill a couple gaps on restaurants I want to interview that I think could work in the book with one of the chapters, and yours from a standpoint of having a very strong brand in the Cincinnati market. And this guy started, I have some context in there. A lot of times I'll shoot a video and text it to him, or I'll send him a voice. I'll tell him a story. Mm-hmm. And that's what I told him. I said, hey, I want to interview you. I think you'd be a great fit for one of my chapters of the book based on the brand you've created, based on your story. And then we'll sit down and have a conversation. And first, like I actually met with him a couple months ago. It was back in October, I think. And we'll sit down and talk. And if I see an opportunity there, yeah. I mean, I talked to 100 restaurants every couple of weeks. 90% of them aren't good for an interview. If you own a McDonald's, who cares? I mean, It's a McDonald's. If you've got a local mom and pop, I met with a guy the other day that's opening up a Sugar Fire barbecue in Northern Kentucky near my house. It's a really cool concept. It's going to be I'm going to interview him in a couple of months when they actually have walls up and it's under roof, about him being a first-time restaurateur. Because I think it's a cool thing, because that's a journey people are on. I have a lot of viewership that watch that stuff. But I'll set up the context that there's what I call a VBR, a valid business reason. And I'll also tell him, like in his case, he's not going to be involved in the book. I say, hey, I'm an author. I'm a publisher. I publish a lot of content, and I can prove it. Go to my Facebook page. Go to my YouTube. They all look you up. Right. And that's the problem a lot of people have, is they want to do what I'm doing with the context of doing content. But yet when somebody goes to their Facebook page, there's one video from 2 years ago that builds no reputation. I've had people go to my Facebook page and YouTube after we've talked, and they call me and go, dude, can I be one of your interviews? Yeah, what's up? What do you do? Who are you? What do you do? He's like, man, why'd you call me? I found you. I saw you. You've got 500 videos on restaurant marketing, extra interviews on YouTube. Kind of put the piece together what you do, but also be honest. Let them know. I don't tell people I'm not a marketer. I tell them I'm a restaurant marketer. I have programs. I work with restaurants. I've got a book on restaurant marketing. I'm working on my second book on restaurant marketing, but I like talking to people like you, because if I put myself in that conversation, I get to learn more, and then I get to show my audience more. And then worst case scenario, I get to meet somebody that might be a customer, might not. But I mean, literally probably 5% of my interviews end up being customers. And I actually don't even ask them. I mean, I've interviewed probably 25 to 30 people the last 60 days that are perfect fits for Matt Plapp in my program. I've not asked them one time, and I won't. I'll let, it's the whole thing that I look at from a standpoint. If I'm out there asking, trying to sell something, if it's so good, why do I need to sell it? And I know it's
Now, really quickly, segueing back to the supporting your customer base, like you have a crew of X amount of people servicing over 100 different clients of yours. Do you systematize and automate any kind of like email communications that go out that are already pre-written, or is it all custom communication right when you sign them?
The majority of it's custom, except for that onboarding email. We actually get better at that. I'm in the process of making a lot of our communication digital, because we've got some clients that have 20 locations. It's easy. You can talk to one person. You make the universal change across all 20 locations. If I had 200 restaurants with 200 owners and 200 clients, that might be tough. But that's where you have to be more systematized. I'm fortunate now we're small enough that I don't have to be that systematized yet. We're getting there. Like literally probably 90 days ago, I wrote out the exact script, put it in Asana, did a video on Loom for it, and gave it to the staff and said, hey, when we onboard a client, here's the exact email that gets sent, and here's why. And I walked through the different steps, why it needs to be like that. And that's all scripted, but then there's other things it's not. And we're in the process of creating some digital pages that they can go to submit changes. They can do that because I've got to get myself out of that loop. Because I was telling somebody today, I'm like, I apologize for getting back to him. This wasn't a client. This was somebody else that wants me to speak at an event in 2 months. And I said, hey, I apologize for getting back to you so late. I literally had 300 messages in the last 2 days between business, text messages, emails. I'm just trying to get through the fire.
No, definitely. Like, so internally from your system side, so Asana is like your core, so it kind of keeps everybody on point, keeps them scheduled, assign tasks. What other tech stack is like the second most important thing in your business?
What is the second most important tech?
Like technology? Like, so you have Asana is one important aspect of it. What would you put as your next technology stack that you have? Like, so how do you automate? Like, give me some examples of softwares, tools.
Zapier. I mean,
Zapier.
This morning, I did that video at NKU. I got off when I hit the live was done. I downloaded it to YouTube. It through a Zap. Added it to my blog, added it to LinkedIn, added it to a Google Sheet, notified Tanya on my team. She sees the link to the Google Drive video. She knows now a list of 20 groups that she needs to disperse that into over the next couple months. So that's a tool. I automate
so let me stop you there. So you did this video. So on your phone, you're doing all of this. You're downloading the video from your phone, or you going to your computer? I've never
Never. I literally, because on an iPhone, when you do a live video, you can click the little download button before you post it. It saves it to your camera roll. I have a Zap hooked up to my YouTube channel. I have a couple YouTube channels. I have a Google.
You upload it to your YouTube. You upload it from your phone to YouTube. Then it zaps everywhere.
Zaps it everywhere, and then it tells her. One of the biggest things I've got that's really helped me is I drive everybody a Messenger. I don't have landing pages anymore. I'm actually getting ready to create some, but they're also going to go into Messenger eventually. But I've got my Messenger sequence. So like today, I've probably had, if I go into my personal or my public figure page, I've got just in the last hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've got 5 people in the last hour that came in. And like, here's a good example. So this Stephanie person came in, she saw an ad, she did the keyword biz card, gave us her email address, she got access to a free module in Kajabi, which was this program for restaurants. It then walked her through, asked her a question. She's had her agency for 3 years. There's her revenue. She needs help organize her agency. Great. Here's a link to my Facebook group. And then here's a link to an appointment. So if she wants to schedule a call, I have like 5 openings a week. She can click schedule a call. It goes to an Acuity landing page. The minute she schedules that call, it puts her into a text automation. It puts her into a Facebook Messenger automation. It puts her in an email automation. It adds it to my calendar with the Zoom link with all of her information. I don't have to do anything. Except 5 minutes before the call, I literally open my phone. I look at the notes. I see who she is. I go to Messenger. I look at the sequence. I hop on the Zoom call. We have a 15 to 20-minute conversation. I go my way. Before, 2 years ago, that would have been like, hey, Raul, when can you meet? I can do tomorrow at 3. I can't do that. How about next Tuesday? Can't do that. Go back and forth. Then we agree on a time. Then I go into Zoom. I go into Google and make the appointment. Then I go into Zoom. I make that. I add that link. And then I text. So there's the answer, Zapier. I mean, literally the sequence that she went through to do all this sequence. If she eventually makes an appointment, I'm not involved. I was involved in a Facebook ad. They had a call to action that sent her to a bot. And literally typically within 3 to 4 days, I usually get about 20 or 30 people like that a day. Probably 20% of them schedule appointments to talk, and like 95% show up because of the reminders and text, messenger, and email. But it's pretty cool because it's all automated. That if Matt Plapp had to do that, I wouldn't get as much done.
Right. So for the agency owners out there, when was that moment in time? I know you mentioned it before that you decided saying, I'm only working with restaurants, and how scary and how hard was that? And then it's almost like going to the gym, like when you're out of shape, it's like you're scared, but then when you do it, you're like, fuck, that was awesome.
It's, I still haven't done it. To be honest, I've got my agency that has 16 or so clients. I've got the restaurant clients. I've got the agency training for the restaurant agencies. And I met with a consultant that about 3 years ago started with Billy. And Billy's like, dude, you got to focus. You got to find a niche. And I was fortunate that I had enough exposure. I had car business, boat dealers, RV dealers, restaurants, retail stores, nutrition companies. I had all these different niches. Oddly enough, the only niche I've never worked in is one I own is a gym. I don't work in the niche. Never have, never will. But I own one and I know it pretty well. But it took me really sitting down and getting smacked in the face over and over. So like last year, for example, I lost 3 clients that I enjoyed working with, and it wasn't their fault. It was my fault because I couldn't deliver the customer touch I could 5 years ago because I was so focused on the restaurant. And I actually had 2 consultants I had consultation with last year that one guy said, Matt, tomorrow, fire every client of yours that's not a restaurant. And I was like, I can't do that. I mean, 1, the revenue comes in, but 2, I enjoy the relationships and we're helping them. But what I had to really start doing with some of those clients was walk away from a bit. Like I had some clients that we did all this stuff for. And it's like, dude, I need to stay in my lane. We need to do the Facebook ads. That's it. We can't do this. We can't do this anymore. We do the Facebook, we do your email, period. And so I've done that. But it took me getting to a point where I realized I couldn't really deliver the quality that I delivered 5 years ago with all my clients because I've got this focus on restaurants now. So, I mean, it took Billie Jean telling me it. It took a few other consultants telling me it. But I still, honestly, I still have my agency with a bunch of clients in it. That I haven't haven't figured out a way to work that out yet, or figure out the way to make that work better. I've actually got a business partner I'm looking at bringing on in the near future who would take that over and would make that even better and let me focus here. But I'd say with me, it was probably a year or 2 ago, and then it's still ongoing that it's a tough pill to swallow. If you're an agency with 1 or 2 clients, it's not hard. If you're an agency with 30 or 40 clients and people are saying fire them all and go this route, my dad even said one time, I'll never forget it. I don't know why he asked this, but it was like 2 years ago when he saw me taking this path. He goes like, Matt, you've got a really good agency. You're doing well financially. What are you going to do if you go broke in 6 months? And I was like, that's a risk. Because it is. I could have lost every damn client on this journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's nearly impossible to train people for multiple industries because since you're an agency owner, you know how to run a business. Sometimes when you have staff, it's almost nearly impossible to say, hey, come up with a great offer and a great idea for this lawyer. And then when you're done with the lawyer, do it for the dentist. When you're done with the dentist, do it for the chiropractor, then the restaurant, then the gym. Because I've been there, done that, still do it. And it is fucking stressful and it causes lots of midnight oil.
Yeah, and that was literally one of my biggest things. Like I've had people ask me why I did it. And I said, at our peak, we had 34 clients from 31 industries. And we were a lot better. The clients were 10 times better off having us work with them than they were doing it themselves. So I understood that. But at the same time, I would leave. We had a brand called Jeff Weiler, which is on 40 plus locations in Cincinnati, Midwest area, huge car dealer. And we did some cool stuff for them. But I couldn't take the success from my restaurant campaign and go, hey, this is how it applies here. And I couldn't take what worked at Weiler and say, here's how it applies at GNC. I couldn't take it there and say, here's how it applies at this home builder. And that became my biggest frustration, was that when I got down to a point that I realized we needed to focus on video distribution and Facebook Messenger and Facebook ads, I realized I couldn't be everything to everybody. And we started narrowing it down. Now, one thing I have become good at, where I see a huge potential for my traditional agency, is I understand how to distribute content. I understand how to nurture audiences. I understand how to get people to buy into a concept and follow a brand and then work their way down a path. But that business has to be willing to shoot the video. I met with a client yesterday, and him and I were talking about the path forward. And I said, Greg, you need to literally get to a point where every day of the week, 4 of your different team members, Monday through Thursday, are shooting a live video with a cool backdrop. That it's just them being them for that department. And then you Friday, the message from the CEO. That's the content that's going to resonate. And that's how I can help you, because I can distribute that to the right people. And when you put good content that's not salesy, that's organic, that is informative to the right people, they'll eventually buy from you. You just have to put it out there.
Now, when speaking of content and videos, like do you fire clients that are unwilling to do video, even though they said they do video, and then all of a sudden you don't have much to leverage to build that branding? Or what do you do in that sense?
Yeah, for the most part, it usually goes that route because I can't get them the results. I mean, this company we had that we were doing work with in the housing business, we were doing some really kick-ass stuff for them. I went way out of my way, literally. Like they were supposed to supply all this stuff. They didn't. I personally drove 45 minutes away into this community and interviewed 5 of their residents and got some amazing sat there and listened to some old lady for 15 minutes on my phone, doing an interview with her, came back, Ashley edited it, made it into a cool video. I did that because I knew what we were doing was going to work. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you have to suck it up. I sucked it up. I went out and did this. The problem was the client wasn't producing the content because they didn't appreciate what we were doing with it. And so that's where I came down, where last week it wasn't a big deal. When the client called me 2 weeks ago, I actually did a live on it. I think I shared it in Billy's group, where 2 Fridays ago I was in Las Vegas. Was that Las Vegas? Yeah, Las Vegas 2 Fridays ago. And I got the call from the client, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to have this call in an hour. We're probably going to part ways. And it comes down to where I had already given them kind of a direction, like, dude, you have to do this, or you have to appreciate this, or we can't work together. Mm-hmm. And it just got to a point where it's mutual typically, because typically if they're not producing the stuff that you need to do your job, it's because they don't appreciate it, and they're also not seeing the value in what you're doing. So it's going to end anyways.
Yeah, you know what I've started doing with clients that don't do what they said they're going to do is I do things like this, like not a Be Live interview on Facebook, but I'll do a Zoom offline. So we just get comfortable with talking, and I don't tell them why we're doing it. We just start talking, and then I'll just cut a little piece out of it. And like, I'll ask them a question, like, what do you do if you get in a car accident? Then they'll go at it, and then we'll just edit it and show it to them. Be like, look, you're a freaking natural, dude. Like, all you have to do is pretend the camera's not on, because it is difficult when you're staring down the barrel of the camera because you lose your words. But like you and I talking right now, it's very natural, but it's different when it's like you feel like it's 1-on-0. You know what I mean?
Yep, I agree.
So thanks for being here. I know we put in an hour. I know you got a lot of stuff to do. You got Luis kicking it there too. Tell Luis I say goodbye to, and good luck on this event. What up? And thanks for everybody else out there that watched this. If you're watching the replay, ask some questions, drop some comments, some hearts, some likes, some shares. Follow Matt. Check out that ROI engine. He helps restaurants and agencies scale. He's a beast. I've been watching him and been lucky to be friends with him for the last several years. And Matt, to take us away here, what is it that you're doing this weekend?
So this weekend is something I'm working on. This is my second meetup in Cincinnati, and I've done about 5 in other cities, typically around other events. My goal is to figure out a formula that we can bring people that are like-minded together and accomplish tasks. So like this event is Restaurant Marketing Live, and we've got tomorrow night just a dinner, informative, shaking, meet and greet, shake hands, kiss babies. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're having a deep dive from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days. And there's, 12 sessions a day. And we've got 4 restaurant owners coming in, a director of a company that that has 100+ franchises, a guy that runs a print company for the restaurant world, a guy that is a marketing director of a brand, but also has an agency. And then we've got 30 agencies. And the concept is talking about what's working. We're not really pitching or building our program. We're talking about one with those people. My biggest takeaway is understanding their metrics and what's valuable to them. Because what's valuable to you and I is not valuable to them necessarily. Mm-hmm. And so my goal is to help these agencies in this room, because there's not many times that you can get into a room as an agency that helps restaurants and hear from 5 or 6 people that are big in the business. One guy has 1 location, one's got 100, one manages bunch, and be able to ask them and get really the deep dive of what can help you deliver better for your clients. But then also we're going to have people like Luis and myself up there talking, and Eric Soul, the burrito whisperer, and
he's going to be there. I see that. It sounds coming.
Mike from Vegas. There's people all over, but we're going to be talking about what's working. The room we're in has some bunch of whiteboards. We got some breakaway rooms, and it's all about, why is this birthday campaign that Eric's doing working so well? Why is this campaign working there? Why is this not working? What can we do better? What's a cool way we can incorporate text? So the goal is at the end of the weekend, if you're a marketer, and this honestly, you could take, like we've got people like that are coming, Ryan Howe, who's going to be here, who has restaurants, but he uses the ROI engine for a beauty salon, a retail chain. We've got a guy using it for a boat dealership, a guy using it for jewelry. It's being used in hundreds of different industries. At the end of the day, it's taking ads, growing a database, driving offers. And so our goal this weekend is to figure out the way to improve it. My goal is to figure out a way to do an event like this because I know from my standpoint, the reason I'm doing this stuff, my first 8 years in the business, I had nobody like you. I didn't know a Raul. I didn't know a Billie Jean. I didn't know a Luis. I had nobody to turn to. So it was YouTube and myself trying to figure out how to grow my agency. Now I see that, one, I figured out a lot of what these agencies need to know, but also I've got the connections to pull people together and be able to have a conversation with a restaurant owner or a marketing director of a restaurant chain and be able to have those people in the room learn from that. So my goal is to really take this to the next level. Like my next one that I'm going to have you come out and talk to. I don't know if I told you that or not yet, but we rented a house in San Diego for traffic and conversion. We got a pimp house that's like 4 floors, full and just unbelievable, and 2 giant rooms for masterminding. And we're going to have that Sunday through Thursday. And all day Thursday is an all-day mastermind where I'm going to be speaking and have 3 or 4 people. Mike Arcee's coming by. I'm working on Billy. I got to figure out how to get him there. I know he's going to be slammed that week. I might have to kidnap him like old school, like when I in the van and grabbed him in the parking lot.
Yeah, right.
Work or not, maybe Casey Carroll can help. But we're going to do that. And my goal is to figure out how to do that. Because I think, unfortunately, I don't think there's enough events like this that I've seen that are realistic. I see the ones like 10x your income and grow $1 million agency. It's like, this dude just wants to make $5 grand. How do we help him deliver a kick-ass product? And with me going after the restaurant side of it, it's just so niche that it's like, you know what? We're going to come here. You're going to leave with actionable steps. And you're going to go back Monday or Tuesday to your hometown and go out and land some clients and then deliver for them and then just keep going.
That's amazing. Awesome, man. Well, good luck with everything. You don't even need it, but I'm sure it's going to go super smooth. And like you said, San Diego, I'll see you at the end of February for a few days.
Can't wait. Yeah, and by the way, this will be recorded too. We are recording it. We've got 3 people roaming, and we've got two stationary cameras, so there'll be recordings available afterwards. So it'll be some good stuff.
Awesome. All right. Well, best of luck and peace out, Luis. Have a good time. Great week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Cool. See you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.